you.
Hey, 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 yeah.
Hello, everybody. PegLegCraig here. Welcome to another wonderful week of fun and frolic. Um, I want to start out tonight. Uh, I'm not doing this for any other reason but to explain my reasoning to you. All right. At about 6 o'clock in the morning this morning, that's where I was. I had a pretty rough time of it, a seizure, which led to some blood pressure issues and some other things. And I just wasn't well. So, but I'm okay. They said that it was, just a kind of passing thing, but I've been asked now medically to slow down a little bit on my normal procedures in life. Okay. And, a big part of that was serving a community that doesn't have anybody to really serve them. So right now I'm trying to find people to take care of my people. And at the same time, I have to take care of myself. So you'll be seeing more of me and my chiclet teeth because I can't shut up and I got to talk about God and I got to talk about what's going on today. So you're going to be my para, what do they call that? Parasocial thing, whatever. So, I'm going to need you. All right. And that's all I'm really going to say on the topic. I'm fine. I'm going tomorrow. I'll be getting some treatments lined up, and we'll see where it goes from there. But I want to get on to tonight's subject because it's very important. And I know I love that word, very important. But start with the thumbnail. Where have all the heroes gone? And it's a very legitimate question because, um, you know, it seems like now we have this poor girl in Dundalk uh, who was placed in a position where she had to try and defend her sister, and it's not just that she had to do that, but it's the people around her. You know, the wait a minute, I'm sorry. Um, the people around her are not stepping up. Okay, this is it's a time. Men have to be men again. All right. I cannot stress this point finer enough than this, but men have to start being men again. All right. We should not need for this young lady, although, listen, I recommend it for every young lady. Okay. We should not need for her to have to do this for herself. There should have been guys on the case. There should have been guys, there. I mean, I understand the situation was this was while they were walking and whatnot, but I mean, they had to have walked past, a bunch of other people. And again, we're not stepping up. This isn't about a racial issue because if it was a bunch of white boys that were, all over a foreign person or a person of color or whatnot, okay, then I would be the same way. All right, because all children deserve and need our protection. And I have just the right. This is an old meme, but it's very popular. Uh, it's an old meme, but it's very popular. Where did I go? Where did it go? There we go. And it hits it just right. That's how every one of us should feel about protecting our children. We're not doing that. We're not protecting anyone. All right. We're allowing things to happen that should not happen. I mean, in England right now, they have a thing going on about SA trials. All right. I'm on YouTube now, so I'm not allowed to say the word, but you know what? The hell with it. They're having rape trials. What they're trying to do is they're trying to find out what happened in Telford. Okay. And it involves literally hundreds upon hundreds of young ladies. And it also involves police officers. All right. These are the people that are supposed to be watching out for our children. Now, that's talking about England. In the United States, we have our own problems too because we have our groomers, We have the people that are trying to interject gambling onto our children. And we are struggling with trying to be who our parents were and protecting us from the outside world. And you could say, well, X Gen, yeah, we used to go out the low hours of the night and ride our bikes 10 miles from home. And we always made, yeah, but you didn't have pervs. But if anybody ever tried to mess with you back then, okay, wouldn't your parents have been all over it? Of course they would have. Wouldn't your neighborhood have been all over it? Of course it would have. Where is that? Last week I was talking about community, all right? And this is all about community. I don't believe in the it takes a village to raise a child, but I think that it takes a few diligent villagers, try saying that 5 times fast, to look after all of our kids. All right. It should be all of our jobs. We should not be allowing these grooming shows to go on. Well, you know what? You're going to see me without a little bit of my trademark. I feel a little hot tonight. So we should not be allowing these games, video games, to be, getting our children molested, like, the recent Roblox controversy, or the games like I was talking about from e-games, that are promoting gambling to our children. We're not protecting our children. We're not looking after them. So I want you to think about that. And I want you to remember that you used to feel safe when you were a kid because there were adults that looked after you. Okay. And now we don't look after the kids anymore. I'm not saying everybody everywhere, but I'm saying that it's happening widespread enough that you could actually call it institutional on some level. Okay. Oh, man. Sorry. Okay. So getting past that, what we need to do is we need to start looking into ways to protect our children better. We need to start coming together as communities, having a few meetings. What's wrong with having a few of your friends and, or your neighbors that you don't even know, having them over and starting community again. All right. You don't have to do it in a biblical sense. Okay. Although that's always the best way to form a community, but you do have to do it. Excuse me 1 second. There we go. Much better. Okay. But you do have to do it in a way that is going to help benefit all the children in the community. You have to watch each other. You have to make squadrons of children so that there could be a bunch of them together so that, it makes it more difficult. There should be a parent always watching. We had this shooting this week by another freak. Okay. A person with gender dysphoria, and I am not buying into their delusions. I'm sorry. I will not do that. Okay. We have to start finding, okay, you can't go every day to watch out for the school. What about grandpa that's got nothing to do? What about, other people in your life, that are, probably older, an older uncle, whatever else. Okay. As Christians, we need to step up, especially if you have a concealed carry permit. You need to be in the area of stuff. And yeah, you know what? You'll probably show up there every day of the school year and nothing will ever happen. But isn't it nice to know that there's someone out there who can protect the children if something does, or at least do something, intervene in some way? I mean, we were particularly lucky, although not the 2 children that were killed, and certainly not anybody that was injured, but it could have been a whole lot worse if this guy wasn't such a coward. Yeah, this guy wasn't such a coward that he shot through the windows, instead of walking in. But if there had been a guy who had a little bit more cojones and went in the door and started shooting, that could have, ended in endless bodies. Everybody in the room could have been dead. The type of firepower that they brought with them. All right. One good guy with a gun can stop so much. Now, there was an attempted school shooting about a month ago. And how was it stopped? It was stopped by somebody intervening with a car, running the guy down, and then the security guard shooting him. This is good. I mean, look, it's a tragedy. We don't want people to die. You know, that's a sorrowful thing. But at the same time, if they're there to kill somebody, especially innocent people who haven't even had a chance to live their lives yet, we're not doing our job. And I need everybody to start doing their job. Okay? I mean, not me. It's not like I'm giving you marching orders, but I mean, we need everybody to do their job. All right? I try to do my job as best I can, you know. And I used to sit watch on one school that wasn't covered, but now every school in my neighborhood has a police officer that sits out there through most of the day. All right. Now they do stop to pull people over, but that's like, you know, the spot. That's where they stay most of the day. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. If you can't get a community together, why can't you, as a bunch of people, a bunch of concerned parents, get a policeman to sit there? I mean, you don't even have to have a policeman affiliated to the school directly. But if you ask your police department to get us a policeman there, then, you're in good shape because at least your children are protected and the deterrent is there. These people, all right, many of them will drive past any place where there is a gun available, all right, to stand against them doing what they want. They do what they will on places and to people who cannot protect themselves, and they know it. It's predatorial. We have to cut off every avenue of the predator. All right. Now, I'm going to say, yeah, this trans violence thing is way out of hand. All right. And I do think some of it comes from gender dysphoria and whatnot. All right. Because I think that you start developing, especially when they're, putting all kind of concoctions into your body, to make you more of this and less of that. I think that you get a male who is still has the anger of a man, but he has the emotional balance of a woman. And yeah, there is a difference between the two. All right. And if you kick a woman out of balance emotionally, she'll show it to you in her ways. You kick a man out of balance emotionally, he'll show it to you in his ways. Usually women's ways aren't violent, but nowadays, because we're blurring these lines, we're creating more and more of these Frankensteins that are going out into the world and causing mayhem and murder. So first, it's time we look into this. I mean, look, there are a bunch of these trans shootings. Then you got things like the Zizian cults. I can't say the damn name, and who cares? All right. They're a bunch of freaks. They're a bunch of sickos, and they're where they belong. All right. Right now, they're in jail, as far as I know. At least the ones that are still alive. And the one that faked his death is in jail too. And by the way, Andy No is the only guy who ever really reported on this. Every report that you see is an extrapolation from Andy No's original reporting. And I think credit should be given where credit is due. But that aside, let's let that go for now. The idea behind what we're doing is we're trying very hard here to protect our children. And we have to start doing it in all phases, because what we're doing is we're letting Generation Alpha, is it? Or, and the Z's, we're letting them get away with too much. All right. We're letting them have no accountability for anything. All right. And we're indulging every fantasy that comes into their heads. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a pirate. Then I wanted to be an astronaut. Then I wanted to be a cowboy. Then, for some reason, I wanted to be a blue coat in the Revolutionary War. None of these things are feasible. And it's just the same as telling a child you can be whatever sex you want to be, if you decide that. They don't have that decision-making power. All right. I mean, think of when you were a kid. How many silly things did you do? You know? And how many silly things did you want to be? How many silly things did you think? How did you think the world worked? Obviously, it took you a while to form how the world really works. And really, until you get to be an adult, you have responsibilities, and it all drops on your shoulders, you still don't know. And even then, it's at least in part a mystery, but you got a better idea of how it works. So I say to you now, it's time to step up. We have to save these children. You're not going to make America better. All right. If we just concern ourselves with what X Gen thinks, and I am X Gen, I'm an X Gen elder, what the boomers think or what the millennials think. All right. We have to start at the younger generations. One of the reasons why we're so perverse and perverted as a society is because we let these people get into our younger people. All right. We let them get into their heads. We let them get into their minds. All right. And we allowed them to think certain things that are abominable are okay. And that's not okay. All right. We need to do better by our children in every possible way. We need to start watching what games they play. We need to start watching who they communicate with. Don't just hand them a tablet and assume that's a babysitter so you can go about your life. And I know a lot of people are busy, and I know there are a lot of single parents out there who work maybe more than one job or a job and a gig job, whatever it is. And I understand that. But you still have to be engaged in your child's life, no matter what. And you know that. And most of you are. You just don't know what areas to be engaged with. Okay? God bless you. All right? But these are the areas you have to watch. What are they doing on their computer? What are they doing on their phone? And listen, you're the parent. There is nothing wrong with you being able to open their phone and look all the way through it, every which way. Okay? There's nothing wrong with you opening up their computer. As a matter of fact, there's plenty of software out there that will hook your child's computer into the master computer of the house, and you'll know every click they made with a mouse. Okay? I don't want us to be like, a total police state and the kid has no privacy to do anything or anything like that. But at the same time, we have to protect our children. All right. What's worse? All right. Being a nosy parent or being a parent whose child is damaged now or possibly dead because of some connection they made online. We can't allow this anymore. This is totally unacceptable. All right. We have to stand up for our kids. My God, look at this girl in this picture. I mean, I know this is kind of, this is photoshopped and everything. You can pretty well see it. It's pretty obvious. But the idea is there. She's adorable. She's beautiful. And we should see every child like you're looking at her. All right. And even someone who's 12 and 14 years old, they're not fully developed yet. They're still kids. And if they got to fight off swarms of weirdos from this country or other countries of their race and not of their race, it doesn't matter. We go after all of them. We keep them all away from our children. We have to do this. We absolutely have to do this. I mean, again, I used to sit out by a school when all this stuff started happening about a year and a half ago. After that chick who wanted to be a man went in and shot up the school. I forgot what the name of the school is. I'm sorry. I'm not at my best today. Um, I'm not going to give her name. That's just nonsense. But after that, we had all started up watching different schools. And then what we did was we went to the township and we said, look, we want our schools watched. All right. We want a policeman there in the morning when the kids arrive. We want them there in the afternoon. And it's a pretty good spot to post up, to catch your speeders and get your monthly quotas. I mean, listen, I know people that would be willing to get a ticket just to keep a cop there once in a while, But no, I mean, they shouldn't do that, obviously. But I'm just saying, that's the kind of fervor you have to have in watching, taking care of, and loving our children. By the way, I want to take a moment to thank everybody who has helped me get this show to where it is now, to where I actually move on camera in real time, and now the microphone actually works. It's very embarrassing to me, being an audio producer, to have had the audio that I've produced the last couple of weeks on the show. So I apologize, and I am thankful. And it is certainly not just from me. It's my help from my producer. It is help from my community that I can no longer serve. And I hope you guys will forgive me. I know you're all watching on Getter. I love you folks. You know that. But I've got to slow down a little bit, for at least for a while. Let me get better. Okay. And then we'll worry about what comes next. And no, I'm not holding out a cup saying, hey, give me money, I'm sick. You don't see anything here, do you? All right? Because I'm here for you. All right? I'm here for me too. Because, again, I need that parasocial relationship. All right? Because I can't really, I'm not going to be able to form relationships in real life. So, yeah, I'm going to yell at you, protect our children. I'm going to do my best to show you, that I try to protect our children too, whatever else, because these are important things. These are things that we should all be concentrated and solely focused on. I'm probably going to have a brief show tonight because I'm feeling a little peaked. So I don't think I'm going to get into all the subjects I wanted to get into. But here's one. Attacks on U.S. Catholics and other Christian churches. Hostile acts in 2024. 415. Now, every church services a certain amount of people. So all those people are potentially involved in those hostile acts, as a victim. Could potentially be involved, I should say. The increase since 2018 is 730%. Do you think they're not coming after Christians? Of course they are. They hate you because you display this proudly, all right? Because you're not afraid to love Jesus Christ and do the right thing and try to live your life as sin-free as possible and do as much of his work on earth as you can do. All right? That's who you are. And we have to start banding together, and we can't just be writing tweets and think we're fighting the war, making nice Facebook posts and thinking we've done something, or even sitting here and making a video and thinking that you've saved the world. All right. Because none of that's the case. We have to be constant, vigilant, and we have to go after these people. And the other thing that we have to go after is we have to go after the politicians. 415 hostile acts in 2024. Okay? 415. That's an absolutely outrageous number. And it has to stop. No group would tolerate that number. Do you think there are that many number on mosques? No. The only other one you would probably have are the Jews. So that tells you right there. All right, they're coming after you because of your Christianity, because you believe in Christ, because you want to impose rules where they want heresy, where they want us to live in a modern Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, we reject that. If you're a good Christian, you sure as heck better. All right, you know what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah, right? And I know the cities now are even worse in some ways. But see, all of this goes back to a theory I have of Babylon. And I think that what we have here is the modern Babylon. If you look at what the left has done, all right, how they change words, all right, that's them trying to usurp God in the sense, because what happened at the Tower of Babel? God made it so men couldn't communicate with each other. And they formed separate languages and went off and, had to do their thing. Okay? Well, don't you think the left is trying to use that same tactic? I mean, think about it. How Luciferian is it? They're trying to use that same tactic to divide us and destroy us. Divide and conquer. Don't let it happen. All right. We have to get together. Your church and your community surrounding the church should be able to be more active now. All right. And start, looking into this. Well, look, okay, maybe you're from the Lutheran church down the street. All right. But the Catholic church up the block, got shot up. Neither one of those are my faith, but I will stand by those people. And if they want to do something, on a movement level to make something happen. And I'm not talking about a national movement or even a statewide movement. Maybe it's just a small community movement. I'm on board. Anything I can do to help, I will try to do. Unfortunately, again, I can't get out like I used to. So, I at the beginning of the show, there weren't a lot of people here. So you didn't get to see this. So I'm going to put it out one more time. I am having some health problems right now. This was me at 6 o'clock this morning. I'm having some health problems right now. I'm fighting with them, but I'm going to get better. But the thing is I have to slow down on that. So this is what I do now. All right. I still need to preach the word of God, and I still need to, communicate with the outside world. Okay. I don't want to become a shut in, and, I don't want to be, just left and forgotten in another part of the world. All right. I want to be a part of it, and I want to do what I can to help, and I want to do God's work the best way that I can, given the limitations that I have to work with. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Okay. But this right here, and I know, producer, I'm driving you nuts tonight. I'm sorry. Uh, best quote ever. Well, I don't know about that, but it's a good one for this subject. If violent crime is to be curbed, it is not the intended victim. It is only the intended victim. I'm sorry. Boy, that really changed the meaning. Let me start from the beginning again. I apologize. If violent crime is to be curbed, it is only the intended victim who can do it. The felon does not fear the police. He fears neither the judge nor the jury, especially today. Therefore, what he must be taught, he must be taught to fear the victim. And that's from Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Cooper, former Marine. I believe he's retired, or I actually I think he's gone. I'm sorry, I don't know. But it's a great quote, and it's something that we have to stick by, and it's something that we have to stay with. All right, we have to start defending ourselves against, what's coming down the pike, because, this. I mean, I just showed you the statistic. I don't want to put it up again because I'll drive my producer crazy. 415 attacks in 2024. That's not even counting what's happened since the beginning of the year. All right. We have to start defending against this stuff. All right. We're Christians. We don't lay down for anybody. Now, I know Romans 13:4, my favorite Bible verse, okay, for this type of thing. Is about our relationship with government, okay? But it also leaves open that in the absence of government, such as the response time it takes a police person to get to the scene, all right, takes minutes when seconds can count. We all know the cliche, am I correct? But somebody's got to be there. If you can't bring a card and be able to run them over with, if you can't bring a gun and be able to run them over with your car, all right, do something. Somebody's got to be there. There's got to be plenty of grandparents out there who can sit and read a newspaper, and, maybe you take shifts. Somebody does 2 hours, another one does 2 hours. I mean, this is older person stuff. You can do this. It's not hard. And there's enough in the community of grandparents who are retired and looking for something meaningful and fruitful to do. Well, I can't think of anything more meaningful and fruitful than protecting and defending our children. Okay? So look into it, see what you can do. All right, I know I'm upsetting a few people with, how strongly I'm into this, but it's very important that we start defending our children. We're not doing the job. Okay? Now I'm going to lay off of that subject, and I want to tackle the infamous Cracker Barrel thing. Okay. Now, Cracker Barrel did try to pull a fast one. First they pulled the logo, and then they put, Herbert there, Uncle Herb back on, you know, and but and then it seemed like on their site that they had removed all of that freak show stuff that they were supporting, right? What they had done was they had moved it to a different link to try and throw people off. But because we are so good at what we do, okay, we found it. And now they've gotten rid of all mention of it. They're like burning anything that had anything to do with any of that. And it is a huge victory. Okay. But here's your problem. And here's my problem. And I said this back when Glenn Beck became a big conglomerate media mogul, and he bought a bunch of different companies, that had names and registrations of all the people that used them and whatnot. Okay. And then when he started going broke because he had some TDS issues going on, he sold off a lot of those companies. All right. And when he did that, they were bought up by big box people who now have the information about who you are, where you live, how conservative you are, your views. Yeah, they got all that because they get all that when they buy the business. Now, here's what I'm saying to you. Cracker Barrel may be fine. All right. And yeah, we won a huge victory. Take a lap, pat yourself on the back. It was good stuff. But here's the thing. Why are we patronizing all of these big box, especially restaurants? I mean, look, Olive Garden is a nice place, but is it real Italian food? Come on. Cracker Barrel. I mean, let's face it, the least good feature of going to Cracker Barrel was usually the food. All right. I mean, it had a great atmosphere and it's a nice time. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do it at all. But what I'm putting up here is like, you should be visiting your local businesses. Let's keep the small business guy alive. Right now, they're struggling. What Trump is doing is a wonderful thing. But unfortunately, before the dividends get paid, there's going to be some pain. And the people that are going to pay the pain on the front line are going to be small business. All right. And if you want to save small business in any possible way, all right, the best way that you can do it is patronize it. Don't spend 80, $90 at Cracker Barrel when you could go to, a diner like, I think it's, what the hell's the name of this joint? I can't see it. I'm sorry. I'm real dizzy today, so just please bear with me. But anyway, this is a very famous diner in New Jersey. I don't think I've ever been to it myself, but it's a top kid-friendly place. Oh, right. It's the Jefferson Diner. Thank you, producer. It's a kid-friendly place, and I have heard good things, but I don't really recall right now. I apologize. I'm having some cognitive issues, and again, I hope to be able to clear them up soon enough. All right, but I will come better prepared from now on because I'll have more time to do these shows. I mean, I'll have more time to prepare these shows. So, and I want to give you my best, and I really feel like, doing these live streams, I've neglected the audience because I keep bringing up things and I don't have all my, numbers and figures together. And speaking of which, a little housekeeping from last week. Uh, I mentioned a hero, a Marine, and for the life of me, I could not think of his name. And it's Master Sergeant Roy Benavidez. All right. He had 37 separate bullet, bayonet, and shrapnel wounds, an exposed intestine, a broken jaw. His eyes were caked with blood. He was pronounced dead until he spit in the face of the doctor who was zipping him up in the body bag. All right. So, Roy Benavidez, God bless you, sir. You are a warrior. But anyway, I felt so bad that I couldn't think of his name last week. I made sure that I had a card ready for me to read on it so that I could do it properly. And I did not give it to my producer to put up on the screen, so I apologize. Oh, there he is. Oh, my producer's the best, the very best. Yep, there he is right there. Salute, sir. You are a true warrior. All right. I know I kind of went through a few things real intensely and real quickly. And, I really kind of want to close the show right now because I'm a little bit dizzy. I have a doctor's appointment early tomorrow. So, I'm going to cut out of here. And I not yet. I want to thank the people that are watching, but I've been neglecting New Jersey lately, and I don't want to keep doing that. So I'm going to do this. Only in New Jersey do we have deer crossing the road like they pay taxes. And it is true. I mean, yeah, I've seen deer cross roads in other states, but not quite as quaint an afternoon stroll as deers take here in Jersey. And it's a beautiful sight. And I love it, and I wouldn't change a thing about it. The other thing I wanted to bring up is you can travel the whole world and you can find beautiful things to wear. In Italy, you get that ankle bracelet. In Spain, you get that ankle bracelet. In India, you get that ankle bracelet. In Camden, that's your ankle bracelet. See, that's what we have to do now. We have to stop this, okay? We have to get people, we have to start locking people up and keeping them locked up. We can't have these abominable DAs letting these people out, all right? You churches, why are you not getting together in these communities? Even in San Francisco, they kicked out Chesa Bodine, who was the worst. And I mean, that's liberals did that, all right? Some of these prosecutors, these Soros prosecutors, are in Republican districts. I mean, not necessarily Republican, but at least purple. All right. And I think if enough people rise up against them and stop this from happening, all right, make a stink, have a demonstration, do something, some kind of, I don't know, civic something, you know, stand up. All right. The churches especially have to do that. I know tonight I haven't done a lot of Bible, and I want to go with this one. Again, in the absence of government, okay, according to the Bible in Romans 13:4, for he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid. For he beareth not the sword in vain. For he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Okay? In the absence, when it takes 5 minutes for the police to get there, those 5 minutes, you are that minister of God. If society breaks down and there aren't any police, you are that minister of God. That's your job. You have to step up at that point. In Crossing Corpses, I often make the point that it is the zombie apocalypse. All right? There are no more rules. There's no courtrooms. There's no police. Nobody's going to come, to rescue you. Only people of good intent versus people of bad intent. And who should be most prominent to step up in that situation? A Christian. Why? Because A, we know where we're going if we're going to die. As long as you believe and you've done everything that you're going to do, the right way with God, you're on the right side of everything. And I don't always know if I'm on the right side of everything, but we should be fearless of death. All right. Especially when it comes to something we have convictions about, like our children. All right. And our elderly. All right. So remember, in those cases, you are the minister of God, whether you're a man or whether you're a woman. And next week, I'm going to go through a chapter in Romans, which really upsets a lot of the pastoral class about women and the church. But you know what? The heck with you, because it's God's word. All right. Not yours, not the traditions of man. All right. God will use whoever he sees fit to teach the word and to bring the word along. And if you look at the very last chapter of Romans, I forget what number it ends on, but the last chapter of Romans, just open up to, I think it's 21, is it? Open up to it and read the beginning, where Peter is giving thanks to, Paul is giving thanks to all the people who helped him. All right. And you see how many women's names are there and how many are prominently mentioned as teachers, not just general this and that. Now, whatever you want to do with your church, I see that as fine. But you know what? I don't discount a woman teaching the gospel any more than I discount any guy teaching the gospel, as long as they're teaching the gospel and they're doing their best and they're teaching the gospel and not traditions of man. Okay? All right. Anyway, I got to make it a short night. Again, I'm kind of dizzy. I got a doctor's appointment tomorrow, and I'm sure I'm going to be fine. There's nothing life threatening. Okay, it's just one of these cycles that I go through every now and then. But stay with me, because now you're all I got, and I do love you all, and you know that, right? I love the people on Rumble who tuned in tonight. I appreciate you, and yeah, I know the numbers aren't huge. I appreciate my family and my friends on Getter. God bless all of you. God bless all of you on Rumble too. I don't mean to pass a blessing by. Thank you for sticking with me. And if you can, next week when I make a more proper show, help me beat that algorithm on Getter. All right. We were so close last week. We beat it for about a half an hour, and I made it onto the live stream, and it was a really nice feeling, and it was a pretty decent show. So, it was good stuff, and it had bad audio. And, so I really appreciate the love that you gave me. But I want to try harder, and I want to do better, and I want to reach more people when I'm more capable. And starting, next week, I'm going to be very much more capable. So for tonight, I'm going to say, pray for me and my health, because I am praying for you, your health, our country, our children, your family, all of that. Every day in my prayers. I promise you. I love you all. Thank you, and good night.